Might have to confirm that.
I vote for the pandemic to end.
I don't know if that's how it works, Tyler.
I wish it's how it worked.
Put it as a referendum question on the ballot.
Please, I don't care what party the person is. If they can end the pandemic, they have my vote.
Wait, what Saturday is this? Is this number 4?
Yep.
Is this fourth Saturday? So we're here on the morning of the 4th Saturday, I think. Tyler, we're here with Amy Cozze, the Chief Registrar for Northampton County. You think I'd know that by now. Thank you for joining us, Amy. How's it going?
Famously of the cakes.
Formerly.
Wait, is that all
But also
gone
famous.
totally? Like you don't do cakes at all?
I mean, definitely totally gone now. Nobody's getting married in the middle of the pandemic.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always think it's fun because when we had you on last time, you talked about on the podcast, you talked about how you went from kind of getting upset about parking meters to launching into politics. And now, like, did you expect to be where you are?
No. I didn't.
Because I was reading up again, I was looking at the article when you were appointed to the position you're in now, and I'm reading. I'm like, wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm excited to be a county employee. County government is very important. I feel like
it is. It is. Well, honestly, it is. If you think it's people don't understand that as much. You know, when you think of politics and elections, you think of like the presidential election. But in terms of directly affecting our lives in the community, the county government is way more of has more of a daily impact.
Sure.
Yeah, the federal government has essentially nothing to do with how we vote here in PA. So
yeah,
which is fun because we're all fighting about what's going on in the national level, and if you gave like a little bit of an iota of that on the local level, you probably move mountains, but that's another conversation
for another day. And guess what? We're going to have plenty of days.
We'll have that conversation. So, Amy, we were talking a little bit about this before we started. There's a lot of confusion probably, and I'm not even going to add to that by saying anything, but there's confusion about the elections. What is going on? Can you give us an idea, like a clean slate here? What should we know? What changes have happened? What should Northampton County voters be aware of? I'm going to let you kind of take it for a little bit.
So obviously the biggest change is the fact that they moved the date of the primary election to June 2nd. So we are no longer voting on April 28th. That has been moved to June 2nd officially. So if you show up to vote on April 28th, you will be disappointed. So make sure you make a note of that. June 2nd is the new date of the election. We also changed 5 voting laws in Pennsylvania this year because they felt like new voting equipment wasn't quite enough for us.
Is that like a lot to change a lot of, or is that like a normal thing? Oh, it is a lot?
We really haven't changed any election laws since 1937. This is a lot.
I think maybe it's probably time then.
Probably. You'd think they would have like maybe gradually done some of this stuff, but not so much.
Yeah, let's do it all.
Is this something to do with like the voting machine kind of fiasco that happened?
So this has to sort of, but the voting machine situation, that was a result of a Jill Stein lawsuit. And she sued Pennsylvania. So everybody in Pennsylvania had to get new voting machines that had a paper trail.
Oh.
So every county in Pennsylvania will be using new voting equipment for 22 counties for the first time in this upcoming election.
I love how the politicians want to treat the voter as if they're a criminal. Like, I need to see a paper trail, follow the money, but don't do it to me.
Well, it's not the voter. I think they're more concerned about Russians.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm cool with that.
Well,
anything.
That's something, that's crazy too, that you think about, okay, when you think about that kind of stuff, right? And it's on a national level, you forget that it has to happen like kind of under our noses for it to happen.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like just like that's like, if there's going to be interference with an election, it's got to happen.
We definitely people feel whatever bubble they're in. Like I was reading some story the other week. I can't remember exactly, but it came down to like there was an FBI informant who like lived in the Lehigh Valley, and you would never know that sort of thing. You think, oh, things like that don't happen here, but yeah, it's like the world is here. It's not, it's not in Jersey.
Right. But the public
new law.
shouldn't be scared. There's no evidence that any voting equipment has ever been hacked or anything like that. There's a lot of buzz about that. I think people need to calm down. The media needs to calm down a little bit. We actually, in November, I'm sure people have heard, we had some trouble with our new voting equipment and actually had to hand count.
That's what I was talking about. That's the fiasco I was talking about.
Yeah, so we hand counted all 60,000 paper ballots. So we proved that the paper backup works. So
can I ask you a question? And I don't know, why is it more reliable to order a Wawa on a touchscreen than it is to cast a vote?
Tyler, you're coming in really hard today.
I can assure the voting public, at least in Northampton County, that the voting equipment has been fixed and recalibrated, and we are all good moving forward.
It's a joke. I know. I can joke with Amy because I know she's.
I know. It's like Tyler woke up today. He's like investigative journalism.
You think asking a question about? I just wanted to mention Wawa.
I'm not. You're right. Okay.
You're our unofficial sponsor, and you're getting mad at me that I wedged in a Wawa meatball sandwich.
No, I have to give Sheets credit though. Did you see Sheets gave away meals to kids on Thursday? Nobody was going to buy them. Well, regardless, I gave Sheets total props. I can't make fun of them for a while.
So, Amy, we're looking at June. Is that up in the air too? Is that a tentative date? Or?
They voted on it. It passed the House and Senate. The governor signed it. So that's official. I mean, that's not to say they're going to change their minds again. We still have in Ohio and Wisconsin. They changed their mind like the day. That's
kind of wishful thinking, right? Like, not wishful thinking, but that's a good goal to be able to be able to be voting in the early June. That's
I think too. We're going to talk about, because we were talking about the laws, and then we talked about Wawa for 10 minutes. So yeah, I mean, no, it's fine. But what are because you said there were 5 new laws. So can we kind of like go over what the ones that would affect people directly, I guess?
Yeah. So obviously the major change is no excuse mail-in voting is now available in Pennsylvania. So we've never.
What does that mean?
Had absentee voting, but you had to have an excuse. Now anybody can vote by mail without an excuse. You have a 50-day window to apply and get your ballot back in. So that's going to be huge. And just as a point of reference, in 2016 for the primary, we had 1,600 people vote absentee. This year, I'm already at 11,000 fill-in ballot requests.
What do you attribute that spike to?
Well, a lot of it is because you don't need an excuse anymore. People don't want to, we know there's long lines in presidential years. People don't want to go out and wait in line. I don't blame them. There's a pandemic. People don't want to go out in public in general. So it's just convenience.
Do you think that's a sign of down the road, almost all voting will be done kind of in our homes?
I think it's probably going to head in that direction. I know there's a lot of talk. People are saying, just mail everybody a ballot, given the climate of things that are happening now. And I'd also like to mention that it's not that simple. Mail everybody a ballot. Washington State, who does all mail-in elections, it took them 5 years to do that, to get to that point. This is something we can throw together in 2 months' time.
Right, because
we're not sending everybody ballots. But
what's stopping me from going over to grab George's mail and voting for him, right?
Right. So that's why there's
don't vote for me.
You have to apply for it. Then we'll send it to you. You send it back with an affidavit. Saying you are the person filling it out.
Right.
I don't know how much you can talk to this, but having more mail-in voting would theoretically, you could have more voting then, because then people who would not have voted before, maybe, I don't know, like they had an excuse, but it didn't meet the criteria, but it was still valid.
Yeah, they worked, all day and they didn't have time to get to the polls or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would suspect that this will turn out more people. I hope it does. That's the intention of the law, is to make voting more accessible to people. So I think that it will do just that.
Do you know like the percentage?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you know like what the percentage of people that actually vote are? Like, is it like, or is it even allowed to be said?
It depends on the type of election. Like in November, we had unprecedented turnout for a municipal year, which a lot of people don't vote in. So that was a 30% turnout, which is a lot.
Really? That still seems like that's 30% of the like people that can voted.
Yeah.
It still seems like it should be like at least like if that's like our one thing we have.
Do you know who?
People
what is
don't realize that they have elections more than every 4 years. Yeah. We have them twice a year every year.
Yeah.
I just thought of this. I know that older people vote more like in higher numbers or percentages. What is the demographic that's the lowest percentage? Do we know that? Is it like 20-year-olds? Or is it more?
It's changing. Definitely, I would say, I believe under 30 is probably the lowest turnout demographic.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because then, I don't know. I just remember when I was in my 20s, like those people my age were like, oh, you got to vote and make sure. Maybe it's just that they're telling you that because you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they don't. They're not reliable. They vote in presidential. This is a great example. So we have.
Yeah, they're not going to vote in the mayoral race. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a polling location in South Bethlehem, and it has about 3,500 registered voters in that polling precinct, which is a lot. But they have some of the lowest turnouts. In any given year, maybe 400 people will vote, and that's because they're mostly Lehigh students. But in a presidential year, we'll have 80% turnout, and all of a sudden, we'll have an explosion in that polling location. So it shows you very specifically in a concentrated way that they only vote.
It's weird too, because I didn't care too much about, I care about these people, but like our state representatives, when you're 20 something, you're not necessarily worried, like, what are they doing? I'm worried about who the president is and the big stuff. But then as I got older, I realized how much more important, like you were saying, local government is. And then you realize why you need to vote.
Drawing the lines.
Yeah.
They're drawing the lines for our Congress people.
But when you're 20, it's like, I don't want to, who cares about that? I want to vote for the sexy thing. The presidential, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, are you trying to say Donald Trump is sexy, George? Is that
saying the office? I'm saying the office.
All right. No, dude, that's fine.
Sexy.
It's all good.
Maybe not our president himself.
Whatever, man. Everybody.
So beyond the mail-in ballot, are there any other ones?
So you can turn in your mail-in ballot. You can apply up to a week before the election to get one, and you can turn it in up until 8 p.m. on election day. So you have to turn it in to the voter registration office. And if you apply for a mail-in ballot, you cannot vote at your polling location. So you can't apply for one and then you're like, oh, well, I forgot to fill it out. I'll just go to my polling location on election day and vote. You can't. Okay. So once you apply for that ballot, that's it. You got to return that ballot to our office. But you can also come in and apply and vote and turn it in all in one stop too. So you can just come to us and early vote in person anytime between now. Well, we're closed to the public right now. But
yeah.
If the courthouse opens up back to the public, you will be able to vote at any time that's convenient for you.
So if you sign up for a mail-in, you have to mail it in. You can't just be like, I was going to mail it in, but
you can go, if you don't turn it in, you can go to your polling location and they'll issue a provisional ballot, but that doesn't get counted until several days after the election and only if it's a close race. So if you apply for a ballot, it's best to turn in the ballot that you applied for.
And this is kind of a question, it's not directly of your concern because you're kind of working, for Northampton County, right? Mm-hmm. It's bipartisan. But you did run for something.
I did.
Has this time affected people campaigning?
Oh,
running?
Yeah. I mean, people can't knock on doors. People are not wanting to ask people for money right now.
What's the vibe of people candidates running? Like, are they kind of like, well, what's going on? Like,
that's a great question, Tyler.
So Since we only have one local race that we deal with in our office this time around, Republicans have committee people up for election. So that's the only local office on the ballot. Everything else is at the state or federal level. So we're not dealing with it a whole lot on our end. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty quiet at the office as far as any of that stuff goes because.
Well, I think, Tyler, you talked about, or Amy, you said it too, like you don't really want to ask people for money right now. And you're it's tough to, like, what do you campaign on when everybody's concerned about what's going on with the pandemic? So you're going to talk about like some other topic that they're like, really? Like we have a deadly virus going. So I could see how it could be difficult to kind of stay in a groove.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a candidate in this climate, and I don't really know what you do at this time.
Well, so what's your day like? What's your day to day? How are you coping personally, with what's going on?
We are.
I know a little bit about. I know you well enough to know that you like to be social, right? You like to be out, and you ran a campaign, so you were on people's doors, like talking to people. Right. So now you're stuck inside.
I'm also actually a raging introvert. So this is like really, really great for me.
Yeah.
Really
I've never heard raging introvert. That's
I like that. I'm using that.
I like that.
This has been kind of like something I've been training for years. So that's
kind of how I felt when I talked to my wife when this all started. I'm like, we didn't really change anything other than I don't leave the house now at all.
I go to work, I come home, and I drink. And
Well, that's like everybody's like, how are you dealing with it? I'm like, I don't mind. I could do this if you took away the whole there being a deadly virus, and you're like, you just got to stay in your house. Like that's totally fine. I'm cool with
my favorite thing is how there's you say having a drink at night. Like there's so many local distilleries or like they can deliver to your doorstep, which I thought. I mean, I hope it's legal because I did it a couple of times. But like Christmas City Spirits, like it's just fun that people are adapting so quickly into this. This is not fun, but how can it at least kind of make it somewhat enjoyable? While we all like, there's some Facebook groups. I don't know if you've seen that are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
There's like a virtual dive bar one I'm in, and it's like...
I have to correct you. If you're referring to Lehigh Valley with Love, that's been around for a long time.
Yes.
No, but I mean, you invited me to a Facebook group of the virtual happy hour. It's got a Tiger King theme. Totally insane stuff going on.
People are in there just I'm like, and the funny, I'm looking at, I'm like, they're all local, so I love them all, but they're just like doing the craziest stuff in there.
So Amy, you're home. You got a couple kids. Were you teaching at all?
No, I mean my kids are pretty self-sufficient. They've been doing good, getting the work done on their own, which is good since I'm still kind of going into work most days a week.
Oh, really? You're going in?
Oh yeah.
She's essential.
It's pretty much us and the deputies and the custodians.
What's that environment like? Is everybody masked up?
I mean, I think it's very quiet because the public's not allowed in the courthouse right now, and a lot of the other departments are closed.
It's probably spooky.
It's
like a quiet courtroom is like the scariest thing.
Yeah, courts are out. Yeah. But my office is operating as normal. We have to. We're preparing for an election that we can't change again.
Right.
That we have no control over changing. So. Yeah, we're in there working every day, processing mail-in ballot applications and voter registration. Oh, voter registration, that's the other thing. You can register to vote up until 15 days before the election. It used to be 30, so that's big too.
Okay.
Before we get too far, because I have a very important question to ask after this. If somebody's saying, okay, this is great, but where do I get this information? Where do they go?
The easiest thing to do is to go to votespa.com. You can apply for a mail-in ballot there. You can register to vote there. You can update your registration. It's a primary, so you can only vote in this election if you're a Democrat or a Republican. So if you need to change your party affiliation to make sure that you can vote, you can do that.
So no independent?
The only independents that can vote this election are in Upper Nazareth because we have a library referendum on that ballot, and anybody can vote on that. But other than that, you have to be a Republican or Democrat to vote this time around.
I vote yes in the library. I like
John. So I'm very curious about, because sometimes when we go vote, it's very, I can't ever complain. It's down the street. No, it's not even down the street. It's across the street. It takes 2 seconds. It's always great. But sometimes there aren't enough stickers. How do we fix this problem? Because it's really,
attest to the fact that we overbought the amount of stickers that we need for this election. Everyone gets a sticker. You get a sticker. You get a sticker. Everybody's getting a sticker. Anybody that shows up.
Yeah, because you know how the world works now. If you can't prove that you voted, you ain't gonna vote, right?
Well, if you didn't get a sticker, did you even?
I think that whole phenomenon is good though. It kind of, you're bullying people into voting, and it's fun. Like when I voted and I didn't get a sticker, it was a much worse experience than when I come out of there with a sticker. And I don't know what that says about me as a person.
That's science.
I've never got a sticker, and I've gone early.
I personally placed the order this time, so I know every precinct is getting.
What about mail-in thing? Do they get a sticker when?
No.
Oh,
also, probably won't get COVID. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
well, that's the next step, Tyler. We're gonna come up with some way they can get stickers when they do their mail-in ballot.
A virtual sticker.
But we'll send them
virtually Zoom.
Lehigh Valley would love to
give them a high five.
And you can go around the county and deliver them.
I'm in. So. Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure we thank you for taking time. I know that you're still working, and a lot of the people who are interviewing aren't. So,
can I make a couple pleas to the?
Oh my God, please! We'll shut up. Go ahead.
No, obviously we are. Our office is a little stressed right now because we're losing poll workers. Obviously, a lot of our poll workers are of a high-risk demographic. So if there's anybody out there who's not working and healthy and wants to help us out on election day, you do get paid and compensated. We are looking for poll workers. We're at a huge deficit right now as far as that goes. We know that we're going to have polling locations drop out on us. Good news, Pennsylvania just adjusted the law. We can vote in bars again. We can vote places where they serve alcohol. So if there's any
seems dangerous. I'm going to be honest. That seems.
Whoa.
Sit down and want to be a polling location.
Is there a breathalyzer before you cast the vote?
Was this not the first thing we talked about?
It's
like you can't drive home, but you can choose the.
Back up.
That
the state legislature threw in for us to help us out.
So this is a new law.
So you
were just gonna not tell us about this one, okay? I don't like.
Yeah. You got to read the room, Amy. This is huge info for people like me and George.
So explain this.
You guys know a lot of people who own bars, so we need polling locations. So.
No, this is the best idea ever. My mind is just. So how does a bar go about becoming a polling place?
Call our office. Call me. We'll get you set up.
Can you imagine you go in and vote, and then after you vote, you're in, the bar, and you come
George,
out.
There's a lot of things I'm imagining. There's a couple scenarios playing out in my head right now, and I love all of them.
I'm making phone calls when we hang up.
I better get a sticker at a bar. If I don't get a sticker, that thing's.
What are the rules with that? What are the rules with that?
I think we're in an era where rules are out the window.
But we'll find out when you apply.
People should be aware, if you're not currently voting in a school or a municipal building of some kind, they can't pull out on us. But if you're voting in a private location, like a church or a privately owned community center or something like that, there's a good chance they might pull out on us. So
can there be more
hard telling you where you have to go? So your polling location is probably going to change between now and election day too.
And because I used to go to a church, and now I go to a different church. So how does that work? Does one just say we don't want to be a polling place anymore? Is that?
Yeah. So we send out contracts every year, and sometimes we just have a location that says, "Hey, we don't want to do this anymore," and then we're charged with finding another location.
Oh,
we expect that is probably going to happen starting soon. Given
I love it. I think it's better than being at a church. That was always kind of weird to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
This changed my whole day. My whole day has changed now.
I am so glad.
For George,
Poll workers and polling locations. Help us out, guys.
And if they want to do that, how do they get in touch with you?
You can go to the county website or our elections website. There's a place on there where you can sign up.
So just Google elections Northampton County.
Yeah. Northamptoncounty.org. You can find us through there. Or you can just call our office. You can email us elections@northamptoncounty.org and reach out, and we will get you assigned and signed up.
The election bar crawl is about to happen.
Like, if you come
You're
out,
only allowed to go in a polling location if you vote there. So
yeah, well, you start here. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a bar crawl. It starts at the bar that you can vote at, because you need to be sober and you need to make a good decision.
Sober decision.
And then we'll go to the other bars, and then we'll end up back at the voting bar and congratulate everybody.
Everyone else. And we'll hand out stickers.
Stickers.
But they're not going to be voting stickers. They're just random stickers that we have accumulated.
We'll just get a bunch of gold stars just put them on people.
I appreciate you participating in this civil service.
Anything I can do. Just try to give back.
We're just trying to help the county that we love and live in. So, Amy, thank you so much. We'll make sure that
one more. I have a question.
Oh, we have one more. All right, sorry.
Are you missing the baking?
No, I'm so busy with everything that's going on with this, and I love it. It's awesome. It's a definite change of pace, but I really enjoy what I do. It's a little stressful in times like this, but
so you're not like in your downtime baking some stuff to
I was doing it a little bit on the side here and there, but obviously everything is canceled.
Tyler,
so.
Tyler, like 5 years ago, Amy made me RoboCop cupcakes, and I still have the top of the sugar top of one of them. I've saved it.
Well, I have a friend. My friend. Yeah. Did I tell you my friend from here? He moved to London he got married and moved to London, and he has a baby, and he's been living in London for a while, and he listens to the podcast, and he was like, he's like, we're coming back for his daughter's birthday. He's like, can you get Cozze Cakes to make a cake? We really want a Cozze Cakes cake. And I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, you got to do it. You got to talk her into doing it.
It's like she's retired. One day, I think, maybe after she goes down her illustrious career, she'll get back into it. Like, you'll retire one day and be like, you know what? I'll start up with the cupcakes again. And
it's like when a super famous rock star goes on, they'll announce a show, and in seconds, the whole stadium sold out. That's how it's going to be when
she's like, I'm back for one
make a couple cakes
only.
Again. I'll make a couple cakes, and the phones will be ringing off the hook.
All right. Well, this was fun, and don't worry. We'll clean it up so there's no where you dropped out. We'll take care of that. Thank you so much. This was enlightening, honestly, because I didn't know a lot of that stuff. And the bar thing, I'm not even kidding. I want to look into it because why not? If it's a possibility, that's really cool.
Especially during the day,
and nobody knows about it, so we're going to announce it in this. This is going out to announce that.
My boss is going to be so excited about that.
Sure. Well, thank you, and thank him, and thank all you guys who are, still in there.
Stay on for a second after we close up.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.